In this video, I'm going to be reacting to Matt D'Avella's video, 10 Things That College Doesn't Teach You. And by the end of this video, you'll have heard my reaction as a college student to what he shared, what I agree with, what I disagree with, and how you can apply these principles into your own life. I encourage you to check out the video as well. It's really, really good. So also in the description of this video, there's a free how to start your next semester strong, so go ahead and check that out. So the first thing that Matt D'Avella talks about is personal finance, and he really just lays it out right here on the side of the screen here, which is the very simple concept of save more than we spend. It's such a simple idea, but it's so important, especially as we're in college, whether we're only working part-time because we're in school full-time, or we are working both full-time in school and full-time at a job. Like, that's such an important thing. And to not make purchases on a credit card if you don't have the cash. And then the other thing is to be willing to invest in yourself and in your skills. So this can be a really important thing to value, that some of the things that we're learning even while we're in college, some of the things that will be most valuable afterwards are the things we invest in that are not college classes. Sometimes it's worth it to pay for a course or to pay for a training, not only because of the value of the training or the course itself, but also because sometimes by investing your own money into something, you will get more out of it. There's skin, there's some pain inside of there. The next one is to save up or have an emergency fund of at least $1,000 or up to 3 to 6 months. And that is such a huge thing. I remember a time in my own life where I was driving home from somewhere, it was raining, and I went too fast on an on-ramp, and I actually spun, my brother and I were sharing a Miata, and I spun it out, it hit the curb, and I was like, oh my goodness, that was so dumb, why did I do that? And because I had an emergency fund for this car, that every single check that I got from the job that I was at, I would put $50 towards my car fund. So when I had to spend $400 on tires, it sucked, but because I had that emergency fund already made up, it wasn't a big deal. I was able to react very well to the circumstance because I had prepared for something that I knew I would need at some point in the future. And the fifth one is to pay off all your debt. And the sixth one is to open a retirement account. Now, just to give you a concept of the difference between opening a retirement account at 20 versus 25 or 30, it ends up being close to, I know the difference at least from 25, which is my age, to 65 versus 70, like that 5-year difference, I believe takes it from 1.8 million to 3.4. And so 5 years now may not make a massive difference, or may not feel like it makes a massive difference, but the compounded effect over time does make a difference. And he also talks about in the video how there are specific funds for your target retirement date. So choose to start that now. It really matters. And if you've never looked at an investment calculator, there's really simple ones, and it can make a big difference when you actually go, oh, this is my age. If I just do $100 or $300, I started with $50 when I first started out, of just doing $50 a month, just to get my money in there and to know what that's like. So that's the first one, is basic personal finance. And then the other part that I wanted to highlight was this part right here. I think it's really gonna resonate with us as college students.
My life for the sake of work, I often came far too close. If I could make one change about those years, it's that I would have paced myself a little bit more. I would have learned to slow down much sooner, and I would have tried to balance my mental health with my ambitions. I'm sure if I tried again 100 times, I would mess up 99 times, but hopefully you can learn a few things from my mistakes. It's difficult to come back from burnout. It's even more difficult to reverse the effects of anxiety, and I know this to be true because it's something that I'm still working on. Number 7, how to cook simple, nutritious meals. When I graduated,
So that's the big concept there, is being willing to slow down and to not sacrifice our mental and our long-term health to get something done in the moment. And this is something that I'm in the process of learning and growing in, and that's why I wanted to share this, because I think this is so impactful, because the ability to be present in this moment is something that isn't always my default. It's something that I'm growing in, that this day, this moment, this is the place where there is some level of control, some level of actually being able to enjoy. Like, I can't enjoy the past or the future, but I can be present and enjoy this moment of creation. And that willingness to say no to even great things or good things, to be able to be present and to say yes to ourselves. Like, every time we say yes to anything, we're saying no to something else. And the opposite is also true. When we're saying no to something, whether that's hanging out with someone or doing an additional thing or working more hours or whatever it is, we're saying yes to something else. There are other options that open up at each yes and no. And as we're doing that, it's also important to ask, what are we, like, how are we actively refilling ourselves? Because going and watching more YouTube or Netflix often is not going to be refilling. So it's also asking yourselves, what are the things that actually bring us life, that actually fill us up, whether that's reading a great book, whether that's being in nature or being around incredible friendships, knowing what those things are that bring us life, and then choosing to say no to other things to be able to invest in what does bring us life. The next thing that he talks about is fitness and the importance of doing just a couple of simple things well. And I wanted to highlight this.
Basic fitness advice. In addition to implementing some simple, nutritious meals into your life, fitness is another area that's often overlooked in college. Starting a fitness routine for the first time can be a truly intimidating experience. Take going to the gym, for instance. The equipment alone can look like a torture device brought back from medieval times. And then you have the chiseled athletes that are so comfortable in the gym, it feels like you're trespassing on their private property. But whether you're just getting started at the gym or picking up any other fitness habit, here's some advice that will help you get started on the right foot. First, you have nothing to be afraid of. Most people are so focused on themselves, they won't even notice you. And that's a good thing. So don't worry about feeling lost, because everyone has to get started somewhere. And in my experience, the vast majority of people would love nothing more than to help out a newbie. So if you're feeling confused about some cable system at the gym, don't be afraid to ask for help. Next, go low, slow, and steady. You need to remove your ego from the equation. Start with a routine that feels easy, whether it's a lower weight than your max or a quarter of the distance you know you can run. Ironically, the slower that you start, the quicker that you can build momentum. And finally, if you're not enjoying it, you haven't found the right routine yet. If you've been exercising for 3 to 6 months and you absolutely hate your fitness routine, then you're likely doing it wrong. Your workout should be something that you look forward to, not dread. So experiment until you find something that feels right. Fitness is one of those domino habits that has a way of impacting every other area of your life. So if you're looking to make a big change this year, I recommend that you start here. Number 9,
So what he just said there at the end of it being a domino habit, of it being, other people will have called it a capstone habit. I think James Clear would call it that, where it's one of those things that when you do this small thing, it has positive impacts on every other area of your life. And a part of the reason why that is, or a part of the reason, at least that I've found, is it can be such an identity-driven thing that when we start to believe, like for me, I believe that I'm a healthy person. And that's a part of my identity. That's how I see myself. And that's something that's been developed over time. And because of that, there are certain things that I, as a healthy person, do. And even if it is something small, where in the beginning, like in the beginning of COVID, it was, I'd never done yoga before, but I'd always wanted to. So I went, oh, there's like these 10 to 20 minute yoga for beginners videos by Saturn Movement or someone on YouTube. And I just started there. I just did this little thing. It was different than anything I'd ever done in terms of working out, but it was something that I'd always wanted to try. And even right now, something that I'm doing that's different is there's a rock climbing wall at Sacramento State University. And so I'm choosing to try that. I've never done rock climbing before, but I have access to that. And so I'm going to try it. And that's the other thing that I've found is like enjoying the process is massively important. And one of the things that I found that I love is I love changing the style of workouts that I do. I think over the last 10 years, I've done a lot of different styles, from calisthenics to more bodybuilding to strength training to doing more Pilates and yoga the last couple years. And so it's also a matter of experimenting and being okay with finding out, hey, I really don't like this. I don't love running, or I do love running, or I love swimming. And in that process, you find out like, oh man, these are the things that I really love, that I feel amazing afterwards. And that's what we're looking for, something that allows us to be healthier, but it's something that we can maintain and sustain. So starting small and then growing over time. And so those are like the three big things that I would say from this video have had the biggest impact on me. I think there was one other one that he talked about earlier on, of not needing a 9 to 5, that isn't the normal, that we can live simpler than we ever have, and we don't need to do all these things that society says we need to. And that was probably the one other one that I wanted to highlight. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed seeing me react to this, please go ahead and give this a like, as well as subscribe to this channel, and go ahead and check out the original video. It's super well done. Thanks so much. Adios.